School administrator to give us an administrator's perspective on teaching and assessments, Mr. Roger Knight.
I've told other people, make sure you don't bring any notes up here. Mainly because if you know your topic and you're passionate about it, it's not a problem. You can talk for hours. Now he said 5 to 15 minutes, I hope. Okay. My name is Roger Knight. I am a retired administrator. I taught and was administrator for 44.5 years. Started my career in 1968 and retired the first time in 1998 and the second time 2 years ago. The best years of my career, believe it or not, were after I retired. And it had nothing to do with the fact that I could do anything I wanted to do because I could leave any time. Not the last 9 years I've spent as an elementary principal. I first went to Bucyrus City Schools, and the reason I'm telling you this because there is a point that has to be made here. I went to Bucyrus City Schools, was the assistant principal there for the first 5 years, doing all the disciplining in a 6-9 building. And then I went next door to a school that was not functioning very well. All the 4th and 5th graders were funneled in that building. They had not passed a test in math, reading, science, or social studies in 8 years. They passed 3 tests in 8 years, all in writing. Great teachers, great kids, nice community. If you know Bucyrus, it's kind of an inner city type school, and but great people. Okay, the first year we were effective, passed 3 out of the 5 tests. The next year, they added a test in the 5th grade. We passed all of them and were rated excellent and received the State Superintendent's School Promise Award. I left there that year because they dismantled the building, and I was not going to go back to the middle school. 2 reasons that I was working. One is you paid me, and secondly, I have to like my job. Well, all they were going to do is pay me. So I left and I went to a place called Clear Fork. Clear Fork Schools south of Mansfield, and was principal at Butler Elementary for 7 years. Again, an underperforming school, and they couldn't pass a math test especially, and it was said that the kids in that particular building weren't real smart, and the parents didn't care. And I've always refused to believe that. And again, they had never passed a math test. The highest was 61%. And the first year out, we made some very basic changes, nothing radical, and 88% was our test score that first year out. That was the lowest score we had in 7 years. We started passing all the tests, and you think I'm focusing on testing? I'm really not, but the results were high achievement. I went there in 2004. 4 years later, we were a National Blue Ribbon School, and the following year, we were a National Title I Distinguished School representing Ohio. Okay, now, this is a community that is nothing more than Mayberry. Nice kids, good parents, and what I told people was that what you do is you focus on, the high achievement, get the kids to function well, and the parents will come. It's like looking at Cleveland Stadium and you look at all the orange. Those are empty seats, folks, because they don't have a team on the field. Okay, produce a team and you'll fill the stands. That's what we were doing. Okay, now, how did we accomplish this? And by the way, we had the State Superintendent's School of Promise 3 times in those 7 years. Okay, now, how did we did not go down there with the idea of achieving all these awards. We got this by putting our full faith and confidence in our teachers. At Bucyrus, the teachers made the decisions in the classrooms, the academics. I spent a career taking things off their plate, not putting things on their plate. I ignored ODE. I ignored the ESC, the Educational Service Center. In fact, I did not attend meetings. At Clear Fork, in 7 years, I went to 1 meeting, went to the first one, and said this, and I'm sorry folks, this is a waste of my time. I need to be with my teachers and my kids. And we functioned very well in both of those buildings by putting our faith and confidence in those teachers. One thing we did at Clear Fork, was that we did a project called Algebra at All Levels. Okay, this was involving all of our teachers. It was designed by teachers, taught by teachers, graduate credit was given to the teachers, and every administrator and every teacher participated in it. Okay, we have a wealth of talent in our classrooms. And I don't care what school district you're talking about. Now, we got that Blue Ribbon Award because I feel we earned it. Now, you say, well, didn't everybody else earn it? Well, not to pick on anybody, Cleveland St. Ignatius got the Blue Ribbon Award the same year we got ours. You can get it two ways. You can get it because you're the top 10% in scoring, or you can get it because you have a very high economically disadvantaged group of kids and you score high. Okay, I prefer the second because you really had to work hard. We went after every kid, our special ed kids, our gifted kids, every kid, you know, counted. We did not have any throwaway kids. We had recess every afternoon scheduled. Do you? Most administrators are throwing it out and saying, well, the tests aren't directing what we do in our decision making. Yes, it is. Okay, now, the message that we sent, or I sent to my teachers and kids, is the state tests are just in our way. They're annoying, don't mean anything. All that counts is what goes on in that classroom with the teacher. We taught the standards. Give me the standards, leave me alone. If it's going to be a joint hanging, it can be a joint decision. So I was fortunate to have a superintendent every place I've been that allowed me to run my building. And I ran it collectively with my teachers. They did not work for me, they worked with me. And we got the job done. Our kids were, what's the school look like? The kids need to go to school and want to go to school. The teachers have got to go to school and want to go to school. That's not happening today. I have been so distressed looking at the schools I've been in and seeing the number of highly respected teachers get out. If they can retire, I'm retiring. I can't take it anymore. The number of teachers who are on medications, they're going in and basically long faces. The collaboration is not happening. It's superficial. We just think we're collaborating with one another, and all we're doing is talking about testing because of how we're going to look. Competition, we think in this country, is such a great thing. It's killing our schools. The fact that you have open enrollment, and I can steal your kids because I have sent out the idea that we do it better. Well, how do you do it better? What makes you better? Well, our test scores are higher. Well, how did you get your test scores? By making people miserable? Your kids aren't any smarter than my kids. And that was the message I sent to my own kids at school, was, kids, you're no smarter than anybody else, but you're no less smart either. So the only thing that's going to distinguish us is our labor. That we have to work harder than everybody else, and we're going to get it done. But we did it in the classroom with the teachers deciding how to teach the subject area. I administered the OAAs to special education kids for years. 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. I went to the special ed teacher, said, give me a kid, pick out the kid, and I'll test them. I knew those tests inside and out because I administered them. The OAAs, I believe, were fair. I believe that they were age appropriate and doable. And we proved it with kids that basically were just like your kids. What we're doing right now to these kids is not doable. I want to give you an analogy. Anybody here ever coach football? I knew we'd have a bunch of guys in here who coach football. So did I. Football? Okay, now the guy over here on the floor. There are 10 football games. 48 minutes in a game. 480 minutes. That's all you are tested on for the year, is 8 hours. Now, if you go to the state championship, you play 5 more games, Now we're up to 12 hours. How many hours of state testing are you going to do at grades 3 through 8? And you will have people say, well, it's only 12, 13 hours a whole year. Okay, well, you only play 8 hours of football. How many hours did you practice? How many days, hours went into those 8 hours, of which many of your players did not play 8 hours, did they? They played every minute of every game? I don't think so. Most of them are defensive players, so you're playing 4 hours a year for all that practice. Now, I'm not diminishing football, I'm just saying I don't see a lot of difference in the preparation. The amount of intervention and preparation that we're doing for these kids is diminishing what the teacher is doing in the classroom every day. And I mentioned to one superintendent by at least a fourth, oh, I don't think it's that much. Talk to your teachers. They will tell you it's at least a fourth that you've taken up my time in doing progress monitoring, following through the SLOs, the state test, the district test. I got a test for gifted, talented. We got a test for everything. A week go by, we don't have a test, and then we also have to have the regular testing that we do to find out if you know anything about electricity. It's basically an overreach, it's overkill, and it's destroying your public schools. There's no question about it. And if those kids and those teachers don't go to school content and willing to learn and ready to learn, the testing means nothing. It just means nothing. It's something that's going to kill the entire program. And I tell people that the last bastion of freedom in this country right now is our public schools. And I just wrote an article about the charter schools, which I'm not going to go into a whole lot, but your funding is being sapped. Go to www.knowyourcharter.com and type in your school and see how much money is being siphoned off going to charter schools that aren't functioning. And if those kids came back to your school, how much better off you would be. I believe in choice, but you should not be able to choose to go somewhere that is of equal or lesser quality than where you reside. So if your school is rated B, if you want to go to a charter school, wonderful, bye, have fun, but you should have a dime of tax dollars following you when we're already paying for you right here to get an education in the public school. Thomas Paine, who you probably know well, wrote Common Sense and also The Age of Reason, said that one schoolmaster is of more use than 100 priests. Now, it sounds like a religious connotation. I say that one good school teacher is worth 100 policymakers. And we do not have respect or trust in our teachers today, except for you people out here. I think the general population has a lot of trust and confidence in our teachers. But the people who are setting policy are undermining all of that for the majority of us. Now, I brought with me one of these articles, and I know it has my picture on the front cover, but I had no knowledge of that when they took it. This is the OSBA journal, and this is our teaching algebra across the grades. Totally teacher and kids centered. We did not bring in experts from afar. We had the belief that our experts were right under our noses. There's lots of them. What do you want to teach? Social studies? We got all kinds of people who can do that. Science? I have to bring somebody from the University of Massachusetts in here to tell me how to teach science, or any place else in the country. So I've got a few of those copies if you're interested in looking at that. I know that we have some folks in the audience here that I'm so glad you're here. I would like to recognize those folks if I can. We have Senator Gail Manning. Would you like to stand up? Okay, thank you very much. And I think Representative Nathan Manning. Okay, all right, Nathan. And Representative Terry Boos. Dan Ramos here? Okay, I think he might have had no commitment. I think he was invited. I hope those are people I knew were going to be here, and I don't want to discount anyone. So, but it's important these folks be here tonight to talk to you, to listen to you, and I know they're very, 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 very concerned. Do not put them on the spot here tonight to speak. They're basically here to listen. I will have this challenge for all three. If you haven't seen the DVD standardized, I'm offering this to you as a showing. In fact, everyone at the State House ought to see this before they pass any more rules and regulations and laws concerning what we do in public education. This might, turn some heads and I think maybe give them a better understanding of what's going on. It costs, for a public showing like that, is $250. Okay, if you're willing to gather your group together, I'll pay the $250 to make sure that the people get funded for it. Okay, I can show it in my home, but I can't do a public showing without paying for it. Okay, but this one is really necessary viewing. If you folks out there haven't seen it, you really need to see this. It'll give you a wealth of information about the standardized testing. Basically, I'm finished, and I hope I was under my limit. I'm good? Okay. All right, thank you.